Why do popular games die?
We have to keep this tower up. Like, we 100%. I don't even care if y'all die doing it. You have to keep it up. Oh my god. They're just gonna give it to him. That's game. That's it. Yeah, there's nothing. Like, there's nothing there for us. Like, we're... That's it. Alright, I'm done. That's a 4-game stream. I'm done. I can't handle it. Nobody's watching, nobody's chatting, nobody's playing, right? I'm done. I'm done, and I'm deleting the VOD because I don't want to remember that they have.
What you're seeing in that clip is complicated. But that was the moment I walked away from a game I loved. The game is Arena of Valor, a mobile MOBA that was once very popular and competitive. After that day, I played only a few times, motivated by nostalgia. For all intents and purposes, the game was dead to me. But this summer, I learned that Honor of Kings is set for a global release in the near future. Arena of Valor and Honor of Kings are actually the exact same game, except that Honor of Kings was released first for the Chinese market, and Arena of Valor was designed afterwards for Western markets. The design for the heroes is different, but they are all exactly the same across the games, with some heroes and designs even being duplicated and identical. My curiosity over the future of Honor of Kings made me want to dive back into Arena of Valor and see if it's still challenging in its current form. So, in August, I did just that. At my peak, I was on the doorstep of the game's highest rank of Master. While I never quite broke through, I understood the strategy well enough to consider myself a good player. Now, there are a lot of things that matter in a MOBA, from the hero you choose, to the items you build, to your positioning on the map, and which objectives you go for. But the basic premise is easy enough to follow. Each team has a base, with towers to defend it. Whoever destroys the enemy's base first wins the game. When top players play the game, they pay attention to many details and strategies. I started my ranked climb in High Platinum, a medium rank where I wouldn't expect to see high-level strategy. But I was still surprised by 2 enemies in my lane instead of 1, and how easy it was to outplay them. Winning was easy because I could earn gold and buy items faster than my opponents, and even when I entered the diamond ranks, I could easily outmaneuver opponents and keep my team in the game. This is nuts, man. Oftentimes, I found myself as the last line of defense in an otherwise lost teamfight. While we didn't win every game, I often was able to clear the minions and hold the line long enough for my team to turn the game around. Holy hell.
Nice assist.
Trial by fire. Brimstone.
Nice assisting. Dominated. Infinite Slayer has been defeated. Our Infinite Slayer is pushing. Legendary.
A dazzling
I almost screwed that up by missing all of my abilities, but... Okay, we win. Jesus. Wow. But before long, the inevitable happened, and I was reminded of exactly why I had left the game. What are you doing? Because I had picked Alice, we needed a fifth teammate who could do some damage and play by himself in the solo lane. Lumber can do neither of those things, putting our team at an extreme disadvantage. Anyone who plays a game like this has experienced this at some point or another. It happens all the time, but at this level, it's especially frustrating. Now, unsurprisingly, Lumber was the first to die.
First blood.
There's a f***ing surprise.
Our Slayer.
I did what I could, protecting my teammates in my lane and even getting a kill on a weak opponent.
You have defeated an enemy.
But then I saw what Lumber was building. Lumber was building items designed to boost your magic damage, which is not a thing that he has. What is this troll, dude? With a hero in the solo lane that wasn't supposed to be there, building items that he wasn't supposed to build, we had almost no chance at winning fights. Across the game, a pattern repeated where we would continuously try, but be unable to fend off the enemy.
Defeated.
Cannot protect against that dude.
Enemy triple kill. Your team has destroyed a tower. Enemy quad kill.
At one point, it actually looked like we might win a fight and turn things around. But just when we were starting to turn the tide, the enemy marksman snuck behind us and destroyed our base.
Pain. Our base is under attack.
No fucking way. This wasn't my first loss on the climb, but it was definitely the most frustrating. And for a moment, I considered not continuing. I was also frustrated by the repeated appearance of bots in my lobby, which were AI-controlled players who were so bad at the game they would pass up easy opportunities to kill you. Okay. This made the games either too easy or impossible to win, and all of the fun in playing was gone. But then, something unexpected happened. It started off rather innocently on a Saturday afternoon while I was playing with a friend. We won several games in a row, which is not unusual. But what was unusual was that the wins didn't stop. By the time we were done, we won this game to make it 14 wins in a row, the longest win streak I'd ever had. When I returned to rank later, the wins continued. I won games as Alice using shields and large area effect crowd controls, and as Mina using my strong displacement and tankiness to overpower enemy teams. From there, I continued to climb, and before I knew it, my win streak was at 20 games. The games were going so well, I set a goal so ambitious it was almost stupid. I decided to aim for a 30-game win streak. The wins were coming so easily, and it was all smooth sailing at first, until I reached game 24. During the draft phase, our teammate picked a mid lane mage, Crixie, even though we already had a mid lane mage in Natalia. This, once again, put us at a big disadvantage. Luckily, our fifth teammate agreed to play the jungle role that roams the map, and eventually our Natalia went to the solo lane up top. I was lucky to have a support that was both aggressive and skilled, but the fights in our lane were tough. Their support could cleanse any stuns of my support, and both the enemy jungle and their mid laner targeted me every time they rotated to our lane. by the 6-minute mark, we were down 2 kills to 9, and things were looking bad. Our Crixie was continuously out of position, and winning fights was difficult. Even though we occasionally got some kills, a frustrating pattern began to emerge. We would get the enemy low health, and they would escape before we could kill them. Then the enemy would turn the fight around and pick one of us off. Before long, the enemy had gained a serious advantage and was pushing down the final towers defending our base. My team was scattered, fighting off several minion waves at once, but somehow we actually managed to get a kill, and it looked like we might turn things around.
Our base tower is under attack.
No way!
Nice assisting.
Okay, salvageable. This fight proved something very important. I still wouldn't say much about the Crixie, but at least the rest of my team seemed to be pretty skilled. But I still wasn't sure we could overcome the severe disadvantage of our bad team composition. Before long, the enemy was pushing down our base tower yet again. We had to clear the minion wave and stay alive if we had any hope of turning this game around. What happened here would determine the rest of the game. We had to win this fight, or it was all over.
Our base is under attack.
There's no way! We had done just enough. With a sliver of HP, our base survived, and the minions had been cleared. Enough enemies had died that they couldn't push forward, and we would live to fight another day. Even our Crixie had contributed by knocking out the Tulin in the fight and pumping out a large amount of damage. But the advantage didn't last long. My team became overconfident and pushed in the mid lane for a fight without me. The enemy was back at full strength again, and my teammates were outnumbered. Once they lost that fight, I was left alone with the Crixie to fend off an assault on our base against impossible odds. The game was probably over, but I wasn't going to go down without a fight.
Our base is under attack.
You have defeated an enemy. Double kill.
Somewhat ironically, our Crixie had just saved the game. By knocking the Valheim up in the air, she prevented him from attacking the base and gave me an opening to run in and get the kills we needed to stay alive. After that, our teammates were able to respawn, and we gathered for one final fight to decide the game.
Nice assisting. Infinite Slayer has been defeated. Enemy Infinite Slayer is pushing.
An enemy has been defeated. Enemy onslaught. Shut down. Double kill. Aced. Your team has destroyed a tower. Your team has destroyed a tower.
There's no way. There's no way. Oh my god. No way we won that game.
Victory.
Holy. Watching this back, it's honestly amazing to me that we were able to win this game. Our two teammates pulled off a 2v3 fight in the mid lane while Florentino and I took the Darkslayer. When the enemy Zuka found us, he jumped on and stole the Darkslayer from us. Florentino died, but I was able to flicker forward and kill Zuka. Meanwhile, our Crixie had been off on her own, clearing a minion wave that didn't need to be cleared. This was one of the most difficult games of Arena of Valor I have ever played. It was very satisfying to win, but it also highlighted for me once again why I had stepped away from the game in the first place. Still, the win streak was alive, so I kept going. My next few games were much easier, and I managed to kind of goof around and have some fun.
Team has destroyed a tower. Your team has destroyed a tower.
I might be dead here.
Defeated an enemy.
Dragon and Slayer have
No, we
evolved.
An ally has been defeated. Onslaught. Ultimate.
I'm definitely dead here. We may have overstayed. Potentially. Finally, I was faced with game number 30. That game started off with a little bit of intrigue as the enemy tried to invade our jungle, but we fended that off and continued on. The rest of the game was pretty standard. Fun, but not frustrating, and I played my solo lane role in a textbook manner. We did struggle a bit in the mid-game winning fights, enough to make me wonder if my 30-game win streak might actually be in trouble.
Enemy onslaught. You have been defeated.
But eventually we gained an advantage in gold, took some objectives, and started winning fights.
Nice assisting.
You have defeated an enemy. Onslaught.
In our final push, we marched right down the mid lane, took their last tower, and ended the game.
You have defeated an enemy. Your team has destroyed a tower. Ultimate.
Straight from the core.
Let's go, baby. Hell yeah.
Victory.
And that was it. I had achieved a 30-game win streak. I was legitimately pretty happy since I never thought I would get that far. And I immediately opened up the menu to play another game and see how far I could take it. But as I looked at the screen, a single thought dominated my mind. This climb was too easy. The climb was real, and every win was a legitimate accomplishment. But it wasn't the same game I had played back in 2019 and 2020. This win streak proved that better than any comparison I could ever make. I was sitting at Veteran 3, tied with technically the highest rank I'd ever reached before I left the game. I had always wanted to reach a master rank in a competitive game, but this didn't feel right. This rank wasn't a fair comparison to my previous rank, and this was not the way I wanted to reach masters. So I stopped. To be clear, Arena of Valor is still fun in a way, and anyone who reaches masters should definitely be proud of that accomplishment. But after being so close at a time when competition was infinitely more fierce, I knew that going any further would feel like a sham. A legitimate accomplishment, but not the achievement I personally wanted. I put the game down for a few days after that, and when I picked it back up again to play with a friend, we immediately lost. It was back to the old tricks in that game with a teammate who left in the middle of the match. Moving forward, it will be interesting to see how the mobile MOBA landscape evolves. Honor of Kings is slated for a global release, which may mean that Arena of Valor falls even further. Personally, I may play occasionally if I have people to play with. I did enjoy diving back in and re-exploring the game. But if I'm going to climb to a master rank, it will be in a game with a full player base that doesn't have AI bots in ranked lobbies. So for now, we'll just continue to have fun and see what happens. If you enjoyed, please do leave a like and consider subscribing. Stay safe out there, and I will see you next time.